Hello, welcome to Papa Nick's Music. I am, as always, your host, Papa Nick Lewis, and this week, doing something a little different. I know, I've said that before. Um, Anytime I have downtime, an afternoon to just do whatever I want to do, I can just fritter it away, assuming that I've caught up on my sleep, because that's always going to be the first thing I'm going to want to do, curl up and take a nap. But assuming I'm well rested. I am going to either experience some music, I'm going to listen to music, or I'm going to play some music, or I'm going to immerse myself in narrative art. I'm going to read a book or watch a movie or something like that. I have always been a big reader. I literally cannot remember not knowing how to read. I learned to read pre-K. I was reading novels when I was in the first grade. Now, I'm not saying I was reading War and Peace when I was in the first grade. No, they were young adult novels, but still, they were actual novels. I cannot remember not being able to read. The earliest memories that I can trace to a specific time were when I was 4, just turned 5, and I could read then. I remember reading information on record labels, on 45 singles, and wondering what all the things meant. What did BMI mean? That kind of stuff. I was a big fan of the show Perry Mason, and I'd watch that in the afternoon on TV, he said redundantly. And I knew who the actors were because I could read the credits. Okay? So I've always been a reader. At any given point, I've got 2 or 3 books going. I read as much as I read various topics. I read genre fiction, but I also read a lot of nonfiction. I like reading about science. I like reading about history. I mean, just across the board, I like reading. I own 4 Kindles, for God's sake. I am a reader. And so it makes sense that I will, every once in a while, try to cross the streams here. I like reading about music. And that's what we're talking about today. This is the first installment in what will be a very sporadic series of Papa Nick's Book Club. And I'm going to recommend some music-related books to you. And I'm also wanting you to recommend music-related books to me. So drop those notes down below. I always love hearing from you. Today I'm going to talk very briefly about 3 books. This is going to be a fairly short video this week. So, my first book in this initial installment of Papa Nick's Book Club is this thing. And I'm having, my version is over here. In Record Time, The Airplay Project by Ray Dominguez. Now, I'm recommending this book to you, even though, I got to be honest, I have not yet read it. But I'm recommending it because Ray Dominguez is a friend of mine. I know this guy. I consider him to be actually a very good friend. We play music together. We hang out together. He is a thoroughly nice guy, and he has had a lot of interesting experiences in the music industry here in Texas. And this is his memoir about those experiences. So it is on my list. I'm looking over here at the receipt where I've bought it. So I've got it. It is loading on my Kindle as we speak, and as soon as I finish the pulp novel that I'm reading, it's the next title in my queue for my bedtime reading. But I'm going to go ahead and recommend it today because I know even if I think it's a dumb book, I'm still going to recommend it to you because I like Ray and I want to promote him. So, In Record Time by Ray Dominguez, available at Amazon. It is a Kindle publishing exclusive, so if you want to get it, you have to get it through Amazon. Strongly recommend. My second book I have actually talked about before because I have talked a lot in a lot of different videos about Joe Jackson, and that means I have talked about A Cure for Gravity several times before. A Cure for Gravity is his book that was written, I should have looked this up before I started, what the heck, 1999. Ooh. 25 years old now. Wow. And it is mostly a memoir. It is his experiences growing up and as a young adult that led him to a life as a musician. but what were the experiences that culminated in him being a musician. The autobiography stops as soon as he is released Look Sharp. He talks a little bit about Look Sharp, and then that's it. That's the end of the book. So there's nothing in here where he talks about his time in the spotlight and his recording career. This is all about what led him to be a musician. One of the things that's interesting about it, apart from the fact that it's just a wonderful read and he's a very good writer, is that he also talks about music and why we listen to music. What is it about music that attracts us? He writes, for example, from the chapter entitled Kryptonite, at least 3 different people I can think of have been quoted as saying that writing about music is like dancing about architecture. In other words, music takes us to places that words cannot, and maybe that's the whole point. But it's surely not impossible to write about music. Quite a few writers have done it very well, as have certain articulate musicians. The problem is that it's a threefold challenge. First, you have to really understand the music. Second, you have to translate into a different language, the language of words. And third, you have to use the words to produce a good piece of writing. And even if you can manage all that, you may have written about music, but you still won't necessarily have explained it. So if it's so tough, why do we all keep writing and talking about music? Non-writers and non-musicians too, talking about it at endless length, in reams and reams of newsprint, in parties, in fanzines, on the internet. For myself, I have to write about music. My thoughts about music and my experiences as a musician are inseparable from any kind of memoir I might attempt. If, on the other hand, I tried to write a book purely about music, it would be full of stories from my own life. So it seems I have no choice but to do both. Now, I stumbled a couple of times reading that, not because it's poorly written, but because I'm not wearing my glasses, and I'm struggling to focus in and, read clearly for you, my internet audience. Joe Jackson is a hell of a writer, and this is a wonderful book. It's full of wonderful, he said repetitively. It's full of fascinating insights into music, how he sees music, particularly like a bit where he talks about sitting in a cafe or a restaurant somewhere, and a guy starts playing music, and it's intended to be background music, and he's playing Pachelbel's Canon and Moonlight Sonata, stuff like this, and the audience, the people. The patrons at this restaurant are applauding every time he's done, and he wants to stand up and throw his bread roll at him because he's playing it so hackishly, so cloyingly, that it serves yet again as the reminder that he's an odd man out, which then leads him into the life event that he starts talking about where he's the odd man out. It's a wonderful book, very entertaining. It's a good read. He's a great writer. Strongly recommend. Joe Jackson, A Cure for Gravity. My third book, though, is the reason why I'm doing this in the first place. I had to find a reason to talk about this third book. It's a book that I've read recently. I finished it just last week, and I cannot say enough good things about Dip My Brain in Joy, A Life with Neil Innes by Yvonne Innes. Yvonne, Neil's widow, has written a biography of Neil. And this is a wonderful book. She's an excellent writer. The subject matter, couple of weeks, it may have been last week, that I did my final installment of Album of the Year, and one of those albums was Nearly Really, the album that he recorded shortly before his death. And I said at that point that, Neil could fart into a microphone for 30 minutes and release it as an album, and I would buy it and I would love it. So that is true here as well. As soon as I found out that she had written this thing, I bought it and I sat down and I read it, and I love it. I love it. I love reading about how Neil dealt with setbacks, both personal but more importantly, professional. There were things about his relationships with other performers that I was unaware of. I was unaware of the friction between him and Eric Idle, for example. I knew that he had been sued by the catalog owner, the company that owns the Beatles catalog sued him for the Ruddles publishing rights, but I didn't realize how thoroughly screwed he was in that legal action. I didn't realize how. And still, through all of this, every time he got screwed, it's just like, well, it's only money. It's okay. And he would just pick back up and start back up again. And it's just amazing to me. I loved reading this book. I have a very soft spot in my heart because when I bought my copy of Nearly Really, I bought it directly from, I went to Neil's website, bought it directly from them. And along with the copy, she sent me a personalized thank you note. And I treasure this. I keep it right up here. It's on a little shelf up above my monitor. And so, yeah, I treasure this. I hope one of these days I am able somehow, through some machination, I'm able to actually meet Yvonne so I can have her autograph this. That would be fantastic. I cannot say enough positive things about Dip My Brain in Joy, My Life, A Life with Neil Innes by Yvonne Innes. Wonderful book. Please go out and buy a copy. And that's what I'm thinking of this week. I'm thinking of books I like to read. What music-related books do you like? Drop that note down below. I've got some more that are going to be coming up. I've got an Elvis Costello book. I've got a Donald Fagen book. I got a Ben Folds book. Oh, we've got stuff we can talk about here. But drop your suggestions down below. I always love hearing from you. If you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate it if you'd click the like button while you're down there clicking. If you've not already done so, I'd appreciate it if you'd click the subscribe button. It costs you nothing, but it means the world to me, so I very much appreciate it. And thanks for hanging out with me today on this very short video. And I hope that the rest of your day is delightful. See you soon.